within just a tenth of each other, we were able to talk to the Alabama coaching staff earlier this week, Leah, and head coach Ashley Johnston told us they want to be the team to walk into a loud arena, a quiet arena, a hot arena, a cold arena. It doesn't matter. They want to go on the road and execute. So far, both teams doing that.
Absolutely. You know, you can't let any situation change your performance. And she teaches that to her Alabama squad for sure. They have a mantra that both Maggie and I just fell in love with. They call it fierce joy. And you can see that in the way they warm up, the way they compete. You know, our sport is so intense and perfection-oriented. Joy comes in the morning. I love it.
Absolutely. You see the resumes here of her assistant coaches, and she said they worked really hard to determine what the culture should be for this specific team. That's how they landed on that fierce joy. She said it was really built on her own journey with the sport. You grow up in the elite world, it's all work, it's no play. It was fierce, and then you get to college. For her, it was at Alabama. She relearned that love for the sport there. She found appreciation for it again. She felt joy again. And combining those extremes, fierce and joy, that's what she believes allows you to perform at your best. This is a coaching staff that is going out there and recruiting gymnasts who are excited about that balance. And it takes a certain kind of gymnast, a certain kind of human, to want to be both fierce and joyful.
That's right. And the experience she has on this coaching staff is beyond amazing. And they incorporate that culture into this team. And I think college gymnastics as a whole has done that over the last 10 years or so, to realize these kids can come out at club level and it's fun in college. You actually have teammates, you can do things together, and you can dance and be excited and have fun and joy.
And sometimes nothing is more fun than the floor routine. That's where the Tide will be after this break. Last week, 4 straight 9-9s or better to end the meet. How do they recreate it here in Lexington? That's next. Here's a live look inside historic Memorial Coliseum, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, it doesn't look very historic. It actually looks brand new, and you would be right. It is both somehow historic. This is what it looked like around this time last year. Here's what it looks like today. $82 million worth of renovations, a major facelift, and yet the university found ways to keep a lot of the charm and that historic feeling involved. What you're looking at here is on some of the paneling throughout the arena. This is actually the original seating that used to be in place of what you see now as the blue chairs and the different seat backs, the different club suites, the different student section. It was all wood before. That's still incorporated in this building. They're still honoring so many of the great athletes who have competed here. You see the jerseys up for Kentucky Gymnastics. That means Jenny Hansen is still up on this board. And
we have the lounge.
The Jumbotron is fantastic. You can't even tell on TV how big it is. You have to come out and experience it in person. This arena is fantastic.
It has sure been a boost to the program and Kentucky's commitment to women's athletics, you know, women's volleyball, women's basketball, women's gymnastics that perform here, play here. It's a great place. Perfect for the sport of gymnastics.
Well, and every sport you just mentioned was in attendance here just a minute ago. The head coaches of Kentucky's other programs who use this space call Memorial Coliseum their home. That'd be Kenny Brooks with the women's basketball team, Craig Skinner with the volleyball program, and Blair Bergman with the stunt team. They rolled up in their matching pullovers, ready to cheer on the Kentucky Gymnastics team this evening. And the Cats are on top right now by a tenth of a point as we move toward the third rotation.
It's going to be a close meet with these two top-ranked teams, and it's probably going to come down to the last routine, I would say.
Well, what else can you ask for in a meet like this? You expect it to be close. You expect it to be tight when it's two top 10 programs in attendance. That's exactly what we have in Lexington for you this evening.
You know, I just wanted to say Friday Night Heights.
Yes.
Everybody, you know, just set your dial. You know it's coming every Friday night, you know, an SEC competition. It used to be, hey, when are you on TV? And now we just know every Friday night you look for Friday Night Heights and you're going to see some fantastic athletics.
Well, in terms of what you will see next, that'll be Kentucky on the beam, Alabama on the floor. As we get ready to show you the balance beam, Leah, let's talk a little bit about what those at home should be looking for.
Well, there's requirements on every event. For balance beam, you're required to have an acrobatic series. If you do more than's required, you get what's called bonus. The routines actually don't start from a 10 like everybody thinks. They start from a 9-5, and you must earn those extra 5/10s through bonus connections, difficulty, things you do in the routine. Now, if you have a connection and you miss something, and that's one of your bonus elements, that's a big deduction. It can really devalue the routine. So I had someone in the stands ask me once, like, well, that was a perfect routine. Why did she get that score? I was like, well, her dismount was not in direction to the beam, and something else that she did as far as a bonus connection. She goes, oh, I never thought of that. So
details, right?
Yeah, just because it looks perfect doesn't mean that it is. So we'll kind of look for those things as the ladies compete tonight. Balance beam, as you know, that's the nerve-wracking event. If you ask most gymnasts, they'll tell you it's not their favorite.
And most coaches, right? You'll probably notice this throughout the meet, but we'll be keeping an eye on it too. If these coaches actually stand there and watch, because sometimes they're so nervous watching their gymnasts compete on such a narrow apparatus, such a slim margin of error, and a very slim margin of error in terms of looking at the top teams in the country right now, as we are not quite on the road to nationals yet. We're just in week 2, but it's never too early to start looking at what these teams have to do to get there. That's the ultimate goal of every team you see on Friday Night Heights or otherwise. In terms of who we're looking at tonight, well, Alabama, as we said, ranked 3rd in the country. One of the only schools to hit that 197 threshold in the opening weeks. That's why they've earned that number 3 ranking. We had the chance to talk to head coach Ashley Johnson about that this week. She said we celebrated it for about 12 hours, and then we had to move on. That's how it works in this league. And Kentucky pleased but not satisfied with their week 1 performance as well. The word of the week was consistency. In our conversation with Coach Tim Garrison, that's what we heard him really stress. He actually said consistency is where we live, that's where we succeed, and that's what they're searching for on this event specifically. Beam was their lowest scored event last week. They want to see it sharper.
Correct. Correct. And you know, the thing about balance beam, you'll notice the highest ranked competitors, they perform on balance beam like they do on the floor exercise. You know, it's not, it's just the whole difference in the girls that are at the top of this event. Their execution, their expression, their just confidence up there. They exude that confidence when they're on the beam. This is Delaney Rodriguez for Kentucky.
Leadoff hitter once again for the sophomore.
I think we call her D-Rod on the Kentucky team. That was her leap series. That is required. You must have a connection of 2 leaps or jump turns. This is going to be her acrobatic series, also a requirement, and she did 3. So she did 1 more than the requirement, which means she got bonus on that pass.
She bobbled that pass last week. That's what we're talking about, looking for sharpness this week. She's on pace right now.
Right, that was perfect, her triple flight. Acrobatic skill is salto, side salto. It's also very difficult landing sideways on the beam because you can't see the landing. That was a great routine for the Cats. Way to start this off.
A tone setter.
Balance beam is the one event where the first person sets the tone, and if they fall, it puts so much pressure on the rest of the kids. So Delaney really started the Cats off well, and Bama is up next on floor. I think all the fans love floor because it's fun, it's exciting, and the kids get to pick their music, so you'll see some very interesting things. Floor is like all the other events where there are requirements that the athletes have to do. If they miss any of those, it's a deduction. If they step out of bounds, it's a deduction. So let's watch and look for something unique. Her opening pass. She's going to get a deduction for her landing on that, but it won't be much. This is her leap series requirement. A little deduction for the toes on the first one. Judges look for little tiny things. We're looking for half-tenths. They're very particular, as they should be. I wouldn't want to pick the winner out of these top 10 schools.
The differences are so minute when you get to this level. Sometimes something like a little worm might set you apart.
One thing about floor exercise, the ladies get to put their own personalities in their floor routine. And what type of dance they do, what type of music they pick. And I love that. It's a very nice routine from Rachel. Or Ryan, I'm sorry. Touch front to a double tuck, but she lost her landing there. Won't be a big deduction, but she will get one. That's Lizel's turn. Nicely done. That his bonus. Last pass, 4.5, front layout.
So we talked about the leadoff setting the tone doesn't get too much better than a 9-9 by your first to go on this apparatus. That was Delaney Rodriguez, and next up it's the sophomore, Kreslin Rose, a performer. Solid routine last week, looking for improvement again.
She sure is. Kreslin has so much personality, and it just comes out on beam and floor. She loves to dance, as she just showed you. You know, Raina used to sing to her beam routine, and Kreslin is doing a little bit of the same. Help to relax her a little bit. She just exudes so much confidence up there. We were talking earlier about, you know, how the judges perceive when somebody really attacks the beam and is aggressive, and somebody that's just slow and methodical and nervous and scared. So far, I haven't seen many, if any, deductions. Get ready for her dismount. Round off, 4.5. Now, if you notice there, like we talked about, the direction on the landing of her dismount, she's going to get deducted for that. She has to stay square to the beam. So we'll look at a few highlights. This is the dismount again. The dismount was fine. She just, her direction wasn't square to the beam. But very nice routine.
We'll take you back to the floor now, where Ryan Rybicki is getting ready to go for the tie. This is a high energy routine. Take a sip of your coffee, get ready to try and keep up with her. This one is all fun all the time, and it was actually influenced, Leah, you talked about getting to put some of your personality into it. This routine's influenced by her studying abroad and engaging with other cultures.
That is really awesome, and she opened with a double tuck pass. She took a little bounce hop out of it, so she will land it out of bounds. That's going to cost her a little bit of a deduction. Sometimes the athletes get so much power out of their skills, they just bounce and they can't control it. It's not that the skill was bad, they just had too much energy.
And that can happen, especially early on in your career. She is a junior, but last week was her collegiate debut. Her coach called it a breakout moment. Said she's actually been ready for 2 years, but just kept getting edged out of the lineup just little by little. She made a strong statement last week, looking to back it up again this week on the road.
She had a really nice leap series in the middle of this routine. And she's getting ready here for another tumbling pass. 4.5. 4. Very nice.
A little nod to the crimson tide.
In the room. I have to laugh. I do that with my grandkids.
I love it. I love it. Let's look at some of these passes again.
Double tuck, landing, you see she bounced out. 10th deduction. Last pass here. Oh, Full. Boom. Very nice routine for Bama. I can see why she's in the lineup.
Up next, it is Sharon Lee making her collegiate debut.
The music some of these Kentucky athletes have chosen, it definitely gives you goosies. One way to relax. Okay, another triple flight series for Kentucky. Two-element dance series, very nicely done. Sharon has just been gradually moving up the lineup, getting more confident every time she competes.
Here comes the dismount.
And up, 4.5 stop.
That's a
good score for the Cats.
for Sharon Lee. Kentucky off to a stellar start on the beam. First two Cats in the lineup, Delaney Rodriguez and Preslyn Rose, both up from their scores last week. Sharon Lee about to add a big number to it.
Beautiful triple flight there. And her 4.5 stuck dismount. One thing the young gymnasts watching, watch these collegiate athletes on the beam, how they stay on their toes. So when your coach is always fussing at you to stay on your toes, that's why. So
they might be onto something. Here's Miss Karis German. We talked about fierce joy.
Double layout. Boom.
She's one of the leaders on this team in terms of creating that fierce joy this week. They call her a Vibe Crew leader. They pick them every single week. She's leading the vibes this week.
I'll tell you what, she definitely has enthusiasm and excitement in her routine. Little Janet coming right now. There's her lead series. Oh, busting a move.
Karis making her apparatus debut here in Lexington on floor.
I think this is going to be a crowd favorite, both home and away. She's going to get crunk in this routine. There we go. Bringing that crowd in, getting the judges involved. Ooh, I'm getting goosies. I love it.
Excellent apparatus debut for the junior out of Spring, Texas. We'll give you another look at some of the biggest moments of this routine.
Let's look at this double layout. Watch her body position all the way through both rotations. One thing these collegiate athletes do is get the crowd engaged. It used to be kind of like tennis in the old days, like you didn't talk during the routine. But now we want crowd participation. We want you to scream and yell and get excited. This is Jillian for Kentucky. She is a true artist on the balance beam. Just her body lines, her hands. I asked her when we went to practice to watch if she had a dance background, and she does not. And I was totally surprised by that. And she said she just always loved to dance. But she sure looks someone that is trained in dance.
Well, we told you earlier, Coach Garrison complimented Skylar Kilo-Wilhelm, her elegance, her finesse. He actually compared her and those lines you were talking about to those of Jillian. She sets the standard in that aspect for this team. You see it on display so far this season.
Right. Just her body lines are just magnificent. You know, Jillian was injured last year, and we didn't really get to see her full complement of what she's able to do, but she's coming back this year. She's back in the lineup on floor and beam and bars, and maybe vault soon, but that'll be a good addition to the Kentucky lineup. Let's look at the dismount. This is a gainer pike. Well, wasn't quite a stick, but it's objective or subjective, I guess.
Well, Kentucky off to a very good start on its scores on the beam. Lowest so far is a 9.825. They have some wiggle room as we go back to the floor with the Crimson Tide. It is Shania Adams. Lots of family and friends in attendance tonight. She's from up the road in Columbus, Ohio. You might think that's not that close to Lexington, but it's certainly closer than it is to Tuscaloosa.
That's right.
And they're excited to see her compete tonight. She had a 9.925 here last week.
Well, it should be an exciting routine for us to watch. And, you know, I want to say just a minute about the judges. I don't think people have any comprehension what these judges go through to learn the sport of gymnastics. They have to start at the lowest level and work their way up to the elite level judging, and it is mountains of material. Mountains. One of them laid all her stuff out that she was studying for the elite course, and it was just unbelievable. But you see the young man walking around, and he is the meet officiant, so he kind of keeps an eye on the scores and makes sure everything's going correctly. But you have to have a higher rating to have, there he is right there. You have to have a higher rating to do that, and he makes sure everything's in line. But hats off, kudos to the judge, all the judges out there across the country that work your tail off to do what you do. We thank you, we appreciate you.
Absolutely. And hats off to our crew here in Lexington for giving us so many great camera angles of everything we were just talking about there.
There he is.
Sometimes you see delays like this, you wonder if something was wrong, right? If something's messed up. That's not necessarily the case. This is a sport, we've said it over and over again, that looks for perfection. That applies to judging as well. You'd rather it be right than be rushed.
Right, and what happens is the scores of the judges must be in range within a certain tenths. Like you can't have somebody give a 9.8, somebody get a 8.2. You know, they have to be within a certain 2/10 range, or they're out of range, and the meet director comes over and discusses it. So that, and sometimes inquiries come in from the coaches where they could have missed a bonus connection. I have fought many battles on multiple turns being, you know, 3/4 or 7/8 and not all the way around. So,
well, Shania Adams has the green flag and she's off.
Woo! Beautiful little turn. And I love when the athlete keeps dancing to the tumbling pan, the tumbling pass, instead of just standing in the corner waving their arms. Beautiful double pike, perfectly done. And she's right on every beat of the music. That's another thing that, as a choreographer, I always like to do. You know, every beat of the music says something, so you should dance to it.
Musicality. Shania's routine was one of the 4 straight 9.9s or better for the Tide last meet. It is a little harder on the road to build your own momentum, right? To feed off of these moments. But she's doing a great job of that in this routine.
So she's got all the Bama gymnasts dancing. Maybe some people in the crowd. This has been a very nice routine, very artistic. She's like Prokowski from Kentucky. She has those long, beautiful lines to her dance. Put 1.5 front way out. A little problem with the landing, but won't hurt her too much, but she will get a deduction. But I haven't seen too many in this routine. Great job for Bama. Let's look at this opening pass. Double pike. Perfect stick on the landing. And this is the last pass. Front full, front layout. Just a little short on the rotation there.
Now we'll send you back to beam where you will find Skylar Pillow Wilhelm. She came up in a tough spot last week. We talked about dropping the lowest score, what that does to the gymnasts who come up after her. She came up in one of those tough spots last week, and she responded with a 9-8, helped them get back into that meet. Looking for another repeat this week. Again, focus on sharpness, consistency.
Well, Kentucky Beam is sure looking better this week, so that should help them improve their score overall.
All scores up so far by the Cats on Beam. Of course, Sharon Lee inserted into the lineup. She was not there last week, but a 9-9 you'll take any day of the week. Jillian Prokaski's turned in a 9-8-5. Perfect.
And notice how she looked out at the crowd, the judges, and made eye contact, you know, so her focus isn't totally on the beam. I always coach beam like it's not just a straight line, you know, you got all these people in a 360 that you need to entertain.
It's a team sport, and sometimes your team can include the crowd. Let's take another look at Skylar's routine.
This is her leap connection.
This is the new dismount this week.
It's a side aerial to a 1.5. Wasn't quite that balance stick we'd like, but new dismount. She'll have that cleaned up pretty soon.
It's Lily Hudson next for the Tide. Are you ready to be thunderstruck? Because that's what she wants you to feel when you watch this routine. And then we'll get a little Alabama Crimson Tide pride involved as well. Another high energy routine for Alabama.
Very nice. You can see the look on her face. She's, oh, sweet home Alabama. Here we go. You know, I think every Alabama team has had this routine, or this music rather.
Yes, part of that tradition.
Definitely gets their fans engaged. Wonder what they say to that. I can't quite tell. Oh, BAMA. There we go.
Alabama gymnasts incorporate that in their floor routines and on their beam routines. A little bit of a mixture in here because you hear BAMA by those gymnasts. You hear We Are UK by the fans in attendance. That's why it's a little hard to understand through your screen.
SEC, baby, right?
Well, here's an SEC song for you.
I guess we'll hear some shaboozing for the years over. Great job.
Another look.
Front layout. Beautiful twisting, beautiful dance. She just incorporated different genres. I love that about her routine. Beautiful twisting.
Isabella Magnelli, better known as the beam queen of this Kentucky team. Highest score for the Cats last week, the 9.925. It's a new song for her this year. She's excited for the crowd to hear for the first time. She's ranked 4th nationally in this event.
Triple flight, perfectly done. Not a wobble in sight.
Flawless 2 weeks in a row. That's why she's the beam queen.
Triple series, beautiful side straddle. She's another one of those athletes that just has beautiful lines. The kick. The beam queen.
And that is why she's the beam queen. Everybody in here knows it, and you can see it on her face too. One of those
There's
few
the triple
gymnasts.
flight to a absolute boom stick. Great job for Isabella.
Only the
Perfect
elite.
landing. She knew it.
Only the
She knew
elite
it.
can look that comfortable on an event that tries to make you as uncomfortable as possible. Up next, it is Gabby Gladio An absolute force on this routine. It won her the all-around title at Bama's opening meet. She needed a 9.925. She went out there and performed a 9.95.
Well, this is definitely high energy music. Let's see how she kicks it off. Full in, that's the way to go. I can hear the Bama fans in the background.
Bama welcome back 4 gymnasts who scored at least a 9.925 on this event last season, including Gabby Gladio, regular season All-American on the floor.
Again, the required series with a full twist in there makes it more difficult, higher value. And another thing they want to see as far as the dance on the floor is high moves, low moves on the floor, all directions. Finish it off. Oh, very nice. Butt layout, 4.5. To her dance move. Very nice ending. Boom.
Another excellent routine by the junior Gabby Gladio.
That's what she's talking about. Here she goes. Low in. Perfect landing. She kicks it off again. Butt layout. Butt full to a beautiful split leap. She sure has some energy in that routine.
We'll get you Gabby's score in just a minute. There is a score change to Alabama's floor lineup we want to point out to you here. Rachel Wright with the originally given a 9.8. That has been changed to a 9.7. You see that reflected on the right side of your screen as we show you Kentucky's exhibition on the beam.
A very close competition going on here between these two nationally ranked teams.
And we should point out Isabella Magnelli, another 9.925 on the beam. You know you've had a pretty successful night on the beam when the score you drop is better than a 9.8.
Exactly. Kentucky had a great night on the beam. I want to say that Chesney is named after Kenny Chesney. Had to get that in there.
Beautiful routine by Chesney Bennett and her exhibition debut for Kentucky.
Good job for the freshman. Working her way into the lineup.
Competition is stiff on these teams, especially when they are both in the top 10. This SEC stacked top to bottom. We're taking a look after this.